You can see the tsuba, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So I was going through the mat drawers and saw this nice little copper tsuba signed Goto Ichicho, which of course caught my interest. And then I saw it's like it's full of inscription. It's signed, it's dated, and it's inscribed on both sides. So I was going to do research, what's actually written on this tsuba. And then this was the week before all this crap happened. So, but now back in North Carolina, I had some time and was able to decipher all those inscriptions and find out about the context. So first, there's the signature. It's signed Goto Hokyo Ichicho, his monogram, and it's dated with summer of Koka 3, 1846. So that was made in Kyoto. He was not in Edo yet. That's him. Goto Ichicho does not need any special introduction, I assume. And so I'm gonna walk you through how I research this tsuba. So first of all, you're gonna have a big prominent inscription on the right side, and there's no hiragana, no katakana, it's just kanji. So it's gonna be a Chinese inscription. So that's pretty straightforward. It's a couplet. So I was able to decipher this really easily. That's the kanji, just for the kanji nerds of you out there.
Oh, excellent.
The translation of this little couplet is, so henceforth I shall be made from loyalty, as I was unable to requite a certain favor for my entire life. Putting this couplet into search engines, you're gonna find out relatively quickly who the author was. And this is this Ming Dynasty guy, Yang Qisheng, 16th century. He was kind of a drain the swamp guy. He was kicked out of the court. He was later rehabilitated. So I got this couplet first identified. So why is this on Ichicho's tsuba? I gotta go back. Then on the bottom left of this side. So what's this inscription? It's a name. I found out it's a name. It's Saemon no Jo Toshi Akira. Then I tried to find out this guy, and lo and behold, Saemon no Jo Toshi Akira, he has a Japanese Wikipedia entry. That's the guy. Kawachi Saemon no Jo Toshi Akira. So his father was not a samurai. He was a clerk, and he was paying a hatamoto in Edo to adopt his son to become a samurai. So this Toshi Akira was the first of the family who was then a real samurai. He got some little jobs. He climbed up the career ladder, which leaves us with a few more inscriptions. So I'm gonna go on the top left, and here it gets complicated. Here you have Japanese syllables and a mixture of characters, and this was pretty difficult to decipher this one. So you're gonna end up, that's the kanji, then you have to make out the reading, and then first it starts with impressed by this poem. So it's Toshi Akira. Now it dawns. So Toshi Akira, he was approaching Ichicho and said, I want to have this Chinese poem on my tsuba, and I want to have a poem of mine there too, because I'm so impressed by Yang's poem about the loyalty that I can't repay. So he had on the other side of the tsuba his own little poem added by Ichicho. So now a lot of kanji, very difficult to read. Took me a while. On the bottom right, more kanji. So the whole poem that he had Ichicho inscribed on the tsuba reads like this. So impressed by this poem by Yang, I wish to add this small humble version of mine. Before I die and turn into dust, I shall return the kindness I received throughout my life, which has now accumulated as tall as a mountain. So what was going on? The tsuba is dated 1846. Found out that in 1846, Toshi Akira was appointed governor of Nara, so pretty high bakufu position. So it's safe to assume that he was commemorating or celebrating this appointment by having Ichicho make him a nice little tsuba. Was surely not cheap. So after 46, Toshi Akira was climbing a career ladder even more. He was made. So in 1854, the Russians came with ships, and they had learned that Commodore Perry had arrived earlier, and they wanted to have their own little trade commissions. So they arrived in Japan, and they got a little trade treaty too. And Kawachi, our guy here, I'm gonna go all the way back. He was a co-signer of the Russian treaty, so he played a big role back then. And probably because of this, in 1863, the shogunate made him the foreign affairs magistrate. However, 4 months into the job, he became ill, and he suffered from a stroke that left him with one side of his body paralyzed. He was still serving the shogunate for the remaining years of the Edo period, but when the shogunate fell in 1868, he decided he wants to commit honor suicide, but he felt that being paralyzed is going to be a pretty unsightly scene if he tries to commit seppuku with the sword. So he just got a pistol and shot himself in the neck. That was his kind of seppuku, if you will. So after his death, the tsuba went into the position of a local samurai who fought in the Boshin War. He became later a judge in around 1900, and then the tsuba was purchased by the brothers Herman and Paul Chaene, who lived in China and Japan at the time, and who gave it later to the Met as a gift in 1943 with several hundred other sword fittings. So this is how it ended up in the Met. So pretty nice to find this little tsuba, which doesn't look like much at the beginning, looks like a little copper piece. Then you find out it's Ichicho, and then you dig into all this context and find out the owners. So that's my little story here from the recent discoveries at the Met.
That's great.
So gonna go back and try to stop my screen sharing somehow.
Markus, don't stop the share. Don't stop the sharing, so we can see the tsuba.
Okay, let me go back. Let me go back to the tsuba. Okay, that's the tsuba.
Is the dialogue open, or are we
Yes.
still?
Sure. Yep.
Markus, once again, at the end, you said who ended up owning it after I forget the name. The gentleman killed himself.
Yeah.
What was the history again from that point? It was a little confusing.
Yeah. So there was a samurai who fought in the Boshin War as a rifleman. For some reason, he ended up with the tsuba, and he later became a judge in around 1900, and then it was purchased by the Chaines brothers, who then moved back to the States, and they donated it to the Met in 43.
And that provenance stayed with the tsuba from the Met?
I found out that the provenance in a magazine published in the Meiji era. It's called The Old Shogunate, where all these old samurai were posting their stories. And this judge was posting his story that he fought in the Boshin War and that he ended up with Toshi Akira's tsuba.
That's great.
Yep.
Wow.
How did you even find that?
It took a lot of digging, and I found this old magazine, and it's very cool to connect all these dots.
What are the odds of you getting this published in that new Arms and Armor publication that the Met has been circulating, the online?
So you got the newsletter, right?
Yes,
Or
great.
do you also receive the dispatches from the field, the weekly
Yeah.
updates?
Yes, yes.
It's gonna be in one of the weekly updates in May.
The whole story?
The whole story, yep.
Excellent. Not everybody, I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that. We should really, Vitaly, we should really, actually, in the last email, I think I sent that out. You should all subscribe to it because it comes out weekly, and there's just it's a great little publication on arms and armor, and Markus is usually mentioned somewhat prominently in the body of it. So,
Yeah, so the next.
Send us a link so we
Is
can.
there a link to that, Chuck?
I sent you a link with the general email. I sent out 2 emails about a week.
Oh, okay.
One was, I think, Vitaly, right? I put that link in there. I'm almost positive.
I did.
You guys don't print and cherish my my emails forever and ever. I'm a little.
Yes. You did send
Sure
it.
it was in the body of that email.
Yeah, it was in the email. I added the link and actually a link to the PDF file. So it's there. Just take a look at it. Okay. Markus, quick question. There's some rough areas on the tsuba field.
Mm-hmm.
By design, or this is as a result of some, I guess, time?
No, that's by design. It's following like the usual wabi-sabi aesthetics, that it's look like naturally aged, like the surface of a stone. So that's all deliberate.
Yeah, Ichijo used that pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess another question. I think the piece was mounted. Are there any records of the sword where it was mounted on?
No, not at all. It was mounted. You can see the traces of the seppa, but I haven't found any mentions of the sword. And the interesting thing is in this old Shogunate article that's where the judge tells about this tsuba, he got the measurements a little bit wrong. So I think there might be the possibility that there was a daisho, that there might be another ichijo floating around somewhere with a similar inscription.
Jack, do you have one in your collection?
No.
Markus, I also have to say that seeing one in Sobaka like that is really, really different and important, right? Because of all the Ichijo that I own and have seen, I don't see Tsuba in Sobaka ever from him, ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, first I thought, yeah, well, Ichijo, gonna be a big name. Could be pretty chance that it's Gimei, but with all this sophisticated context and the Tsuba be mentioned in this old magazine and everything adds up. And so I think it's a pretty solid case that it's Shoshin.
Agreed. Yeah.
Very cool. Great, amazing research, Markus. Really great.
Thank
Very
you.
amazing. Very amazing.
Thank you, Markus.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Markus.
Thank you.
Mhm. I gotta